Hey, this is Alexa Peterson with the Hitting Vault. I'm going to be going through a little bit of Mookie Betts' swing here, some really great things that we see. He's one of the best hitters in the MLB, both defensively and offensively. He's a hitter that's 5'9" and 180, 190 pounds, yet he was able to still hit for both average and power this year and won the AL MVP. So he's got some great stuff going on and can be a great testament to hitters that aren't 6'4" and 230 pounds, 220 pounds, to still be able to hit for average and power at the same time. So let's take a look at him. Starting stance, you'll notice he's pretty upright, pretty tall. That's something that with him being tall, it's comfortable for him. And he's still, by him starting so tall, you'll notice as we move on that he actually gets very low into his legs, and that kind of movement going down and still being controlled in his swing, it helps him to actually create more momentum in his swing, which in turn correlates to him having power. So this isn't a stance that would work for every kid, but it's definitely something that if a kid is able to maintain their posture as they go forward into their launch position, is something that can definitely kind of help them. So he starts with his barrel pretty flat, pretty tall, goes into his load. You notice he starts to really get into his legs. His front shoulder starts working down, his back shoulder starts working up. That front shoulder is working down and in a little bit. Notice this barrel working very more vertical. He starts to go forward right about there. This is his movement going forward, getting into his stride. Starting to go forward right as that pitch is being released. Gets to his launch position. Right there, you can see a little bit of his numbers. Sometimes that's a good indicator for some hitters to make them feel like they're working down and in with that front shoulder. You want to be careful that you're not teaching them to just twist their upper half, because then that ends up creating bat wrapping or just over rotation of that upper torso area, and that can cause problems being able to adjust to different pitches. So. But this is a great position. I mean, this camera angle is great. It's pretty much straight on. So you can see that his numbers are showing a little bit, but he's down and in with that front shoulder. His barrel is starting to work a little bit more down, but it's still, for him, it works to be about at 45 degrees is pretty much what he's at. You'll notice that his hips are open a little bit as well. And that's something that, it has a little bit to do with hip mobility. How much a kid is able to go forward and still maintain that posture with those hips opening, but as much as possible to be able to have those hips open for the majority of hitters. That's kind of the best position that you want to get into, because without that, then you end up having a lot of kids that just don't rotate their hips at all. So trying to get them to open up their hips a little bit helps. And again, there's those hitters like Mike Trout, Miguel Cabrera. Those are some hitters that don't have a lot of hip external rotation as they're going forward into their launch position. And so, but they are able to rotate their hips just as hard and just as well while getting that belt buckle to the pitcher after that. But for a lot of hitters, trying to get this to open up a little bit helps them, their hips to start to go, kind of open the front door to let those hips fire through. So get to that good launch position. He's recognized that the pitch is starting to move out to the outside corner, and he's decided he's going to swing for it now. Go forward. You'll notice his barrel continues to work back behind him, and he creates a lot of tilt to get out there. You can see this angle right here is pretty steep. He's going out there to get that ball with a lot of torso tilt, but still maintaining a strong position with his wrist. A lot of hitters tend to just drop their barrel, drop their wrists, and or they're upright. They're really upright with their body here, and they just reach. So it's not going to be able to hit for for distance and for consistency if you're consistently approaching an outside pitch like that. So you'll notice he's got a lot of tilt here. He's as we go closer, you can see that gets his barrel to a strong contact position, palm up, palm down, and he's leaned over to help get him over to that outside pitch. But we can't be leaned over with weak hands at contact point, otherwise you're popping up. And you'll notice his belt buckle before contact is actually facing the pitcher. Let's go back again. So right there, it's pretty much at the pitcher. And that's what, being able to have those hips turn and then that barrel come through the zone helps create, there you go again, he's not at contact yet. And his belt buckle is at the pitcher. Helps create a lot more power when the hips are going through first and then that barrel comes through. He ends up hitting it for a double off the wall. So we kind of get this good angle over here. Let's see if I can move this a little bit. You'll notice as he starts to go forward, this is after his load, he's going forward. He's going forward and he's getting into that launch position with some good bend in his front knee. A lot of hitters end up striding. When that heel hits, they're locked out, and that prevents them from being able to adjust different speeds of pitches. And so you can see here, front shoulders down, back shoulders up a little bit. That knob is kind of down towards the catcher, angled down this way. His head is pretty well in the middle of his body. And he's starting to rotate his hips right here. You can see a little bit of wrinkle in his shirt. And the biggest thing is his hands are up and back with those hips a little bit open when that heel hits. So many hitters, their hands are already right around in this area when that heel hits. So this is called hand and hip separation. It's important to have right when that heel hits to help have like power and consistency again. See him going towards his pitch. Barrel's working behind him. Hips are rotating. Look at that belt buckle. You can really see it good from this view. Here's, what you would consider bat drag or bat lag is what people call this. But it's not a position that's way out here. A lot of people's hands get way out here, and that actually is really, that's really detrimental to being able to have that bat come through the zone quickly. So this is considered bat lag, but it's not something that we want to like have going on way out here. That would be a bad position for us. Belt buckles towards the pitcher. His back foot starting to become weightless. You can just see his barrel being on plane for a long period of time. Gets to contact. And you can tell he was a little bit fooled by this pitch. He was expecting it to be a little bit more middle, not break as much as it did, and that that has a little bit to do with how far that ball was able to go. He still squared it up well, but you can see he was pretty locked out right when he gets to contact, right? Yeah, right there at contact. You see this elbow? It's pretty locked out, so he was kind of having to reach for it a little bit, but by still putting the barrel on the ball, this ball still went far. Now, ideally, if he was looking for that exact location when it was perfectly on time, he would have had a little bit more bend in this bottom hand elbow, which could have helped put the ball over the fence. He's able to stay through it really well, though. See that extension? Extension is a byproduct of how your barrel is working towards the ball. It's not something that he's trying to do by pushing his hands. Just his barrel is staying on the plane for a long period of time. And that barrel is working so fast through the zone that extension is just a byproduct of how his body's working. He has great extension through it, up and around, and there you go. That's how he hit his double off the fence. So those are some good things that we see in Mookie Betts' swing, and I think that he's a great person to try to replicate. Doesn't mean that you have to start in his position as tall as he was, but really this launch position is a really good position for hitters to get into. It looks very strong, very powerful. And then it gives him especially a good starting point for how the rest of his swing and his body can work from there.